My name is Yvette Lamar. Police corruption, where do I start? It seems over the past year that you can't turn on the TV without hearing something about police corruption. Whether it's about excessive force from the police planting evidence, police using drugs. It seems today there is more criticism on the cops than ever. When looking through police corruption, we need to make sure that we are searching and seeking all the details from maybe what causes the police corruption. It is our system. It is the scenario. Because as wrong as police corruption is, it would be worse to not learn from our past. First, let's review police corruption in the form of police brutality. Maybe still to this day, one of the most famous cases of excessive force is the Ferguson case. The Ferguson case happened August 9th, 2014 in Missouri, where an unarmed teenager was shot not once, not twice, but 6 times. Now, if you notice, I left out 2 details, which some may say are the important ones, the details that make the case so controversial. But first, I just want to examine this case to see if the police officer took advantage of his position or was just doing his job. Policeman's job is to protect and serve. Unfortunately, in this day and age, that sometimes means having to use force. It may sometimes having to kill a suspect before that suspect kills someone else or even you. Police are entrusted to carry out duties many would do and may not like. It is why we still have many laws and rules the police have to abide by. These laws, rules help draw the line between right and wrong. These laws also help defend police when the public does not like what the police are doing. Police officers shouldn't be worried every time they use force that they could lose their jobs or be arrested themselves. They need security as well to be able to do their jobs. These laws and rules also are to what they need to protect themselves much more. One of the main, most familiar U.S. Supreme Court cases that set prejudice is the Graham versus Connor case. It established the 3 famous questions to evaluate officers' actions. Number 1, what's the nature of the offense? What brought the officer and suspects together? Number 2, is this person an immediate threat to an officer or another individual? Number 3, is this person trying to flee or evade arrest? In the case itself, it emphasized immediate threat. Was the overachieving main and most important concern if the force used was reasonable? Now, back to our case. We are looking at the Ferguson case, where an unarmed teenager was shot 6 times by an officer. There was often the way the media looked at the case, that this teenager was defenseless and the officer just basically shot him in this case. However, when we look more into detail, we see the teenager Michael Brown was fighting with the officer before, and when he was shot, he was charging at the officer. When the officer gave his testimony, he said he feared for his life, that this teenager was bigger than him and he had gotten close he had gotten closer, he would have killed him. This officer did what he was trained to do. He protected himself from this particular person, which was Ferguson. He knew he could not do a hand-on-hand combat and survive, so he used his weapon instead. If someone is racist, it usually means that he or she believes the stereotypes about that person, and usually thinks the world would be better off without that race. So a police officer who is racist isn't going to think twice about shooting a black man because he feels a little threatened, and the world would be better off without that race anyway. We shouldn't still be at this point in our life where we wonder if a cop